Program has been rated mature by the Gaming Radio Network. It is unsuitable for under 18s due to content of an adult nature, which may be classed as offensive to some people.
And there's that. We go live like that. Hopefully it's all working. Hello, this is This Week in New Eden, or TWiNE as we like to call it. It's Sunday the 7th of February 2016. It's 3 PM GMT and I'm Wiggles. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Hopefully everything's working fine and Twitch is going fine and everything's going fine. Hopefully, because there was some last minute issues where Twitch was like, no, you're not broadcasting correctly, and it's going rubbish. And Twitch has just told me that I'm streaming at 6K a second, and it's like, no, it's not. I'm not doing that much. Why are you doing this to me, Twitch? Stop being annoying. Hello. Anyway, another week. Another show. Let's do this. Welcome to This Week in New Eden for Sunday, the 7th of February 2016. I'm Wiggles, and I'm joined today by Lanctharus from CapStable / CSM Watch / everything that he ever does media-wise. Lank, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I am doing fine. With a good half gallon of coffee in my system, I am fine. I am fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I am good. I know it's early for you, and again, it's the it's early for yourself because you're in the lovely state. You're in the Pacific time, aren't you? So
yeah, I'm not done here in like Southern California near LA. So yeah, it's like it's not that bad. It's
not that bad. It's only 7.
It's not that bad.
Well, at least we didn't get the scheduling wrong on the Google Mail, did we?
No, not at all, because Google is cancer.
No, really? No, really. When I scheduled this show last week with Lank, and he said, "I'll send a Google invite," so I sent the Google invite. For some reason, it chose yesterday, and then when I updated it fine in the Google Doc and in the mail, and it was fine, and I've checked it, and it says fine. Lank still says Saturday. So it's like, and I'm literally off doing stuff yesterday afternoon. I get a Skype message. Oh, I'm in your TeamSpeak. I'm like, that's tomorrow. I'm
like fucking Google.
Like,
it's like, thank you, Google.
I'm like, help.
And I'm like, oh well, at least it was early and not like the day after where it's like, oh, I'm ready for my recording. Dude, sorry, the recording was yesterday. I'm like, oh. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'd rather do that whole like I'm early, so it's like oh awkward, but at least it's not like horrendously dumb. At least I can like reschedule and like kill like my cell phone for saying it was Saturday.
Yes, but well, yeah, no. Well, at least it wasn't when we had with Matterall. Matterall came at sort of the end of the talk bit. He got trolled. He got trolled by a time converter online. They told him the wrong time. And again, he's the same as you, so he's like California way that way. So it's like, oh no, it's 7 a.m. He's like, I thought it was 9. I was like, no, it's not. Anyway,
but see, it's fortuitous you picked today because today is like for us Americans, it's Super Bowl day today. Super Bowl 50. Which I can give a rat's ass right now because it's the Broncos and the Panthers. You see a little bit of like side news, like there hasn't been any football in Los Angeles in over 20 years. So when the LA Traders and the LA Scrams left, now the LA Scrams are back. And I'm like, so I have 20 years of like no like interest in football at all. So it's like, oh, it's football time. Oh, okay. Hey, I get to go to the supermarket and there's no line today. That's the best thing about Super Bowl because I am a bad American.
So this is the thing over here in the UK. Super Bowl is one of those things that everyone loves. Everyone watches it. Everyone does it. And it's like, why? I for years I watched Super Bowl. I'm not going to be watching it tonight because I got work tomorrow. But most years I'd watch it, and we'd watch it on the telly. And the thing that really pissed off everyone that was with me, sitting watching it. So we got a bunch of us on TeamSpeak. We'd have a listening party and a watching party. I'd be ahead of their video. I'd be watching it on broadcast television in the UK. I'd be 4, 5, 6 seconds ahead. And I'd be like, touchdown! They're like, no, you've spoiled it!
The ultimate troll. It's like, it's like you're in the future, man. You're in the future. See, like late in the last few years because of Twitter, there's a new phenomenon here where we don't watch the game to watch the game. We watch the game to snark. We sit there and we just tear the commercials and the crap that's going on, and just like, so it's become this whole different like meta thing to do, where we sit there and we're just like frantically tearing the thing apart and just making fun of what's going on because we can, because that's the power of Twitter. Yay!
The power of Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, there's let's get into this show. If you want to know what this show is, this is This Week in New Eve, where I get on with the guests and we talk about what's going on in Eve this week and stuff like this. Let's talk about Twitter for a second, because the way that we found out some news this week in Eve Online, well, loads of news. This week in Eve Online, well, actually, Tuesday, so basically February the 9th, this Tuesday, we get skill trading, the very controversial, potentially, oh my god, what the fuck barbecue thing of it. Nobody told anyone the prices. Nobody knew the prices of the extractors until CCP tweeted the picture.
Oh dear, and the shitstorm that's been caused because of it.
No, really, no, really. I mean, okay, so I mean, refresh my memory. Like, did they actually fix the problem of where, no, actually, the maximum you can get from Injector is, 500,000,
exactly.
Not 512,000, which would be for a level 5 skill. Well, a level 1 skill for 5,
Yep, that hasn't been addressed at all. But, and then, so yeah, that hasn't been addressed at all.
But then the whole, let's get the picture. I'm finding the picture now. I have it on my screen. Opening new tab. Here we go. And I'll post it in game. And I'll post it in there. Gary Tubman I got kicked from the in-game chat. What the fuck? I don't know, Gary. Oh, Gatterbrun. I don't know. It's Eve Radio. If you find it under the channels and media, it might be there. If you've been banned before, you might have been a bad boy. We don't know. But literally, here's the thing. Skill extractors coming soon. One skill extractor, 999 Aurum. That's going to drive everyone with OCD crazy. Literally.
And I kind of mirror what my cohort Hoots states when this is like, Aurum, can't they just charge me $5.55 as opposed to having to go buy a token and then you have to deal with the usual shit like, say, the Wii Store or Xbox Live, where it's like you have all this trailing bits of money around that sits around you can't use because, well, it doesn't match. Can't you just charge me a flat amount to my credit card? I'd be happy to do that as opposed to buying fucking Aurum where I have like 1,900 Aurum left after I bought a skin on a ship, and it's like, what the fuck? What do I do with this? Can I cash this out? No, I can't. I need to go buy some more. I'm like, oh, damn you, it's the return of Xbox Live again.
Well, Thor Kepper Adams in games says, clever, they force real money. No, this is the thing. We knew that we knew the extractors would cost real money. That was stated from way back when. We knew that, right? We just didn't know the price until Friday afternoon, some point of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, and then there's been blog posts out there and everything out there talking about breaking it down. Here's the thing. I know Lockfox has probably put this out on the Prosper show, or he did probably put it out.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
There's the breakdown of it, and you work it out, and you work out how much a single, how much each skill point is going to be worth, and this and that, and there's loads of people putting it out there, and I'm going to say this now. I'm going to be 100% honest. The amount for it, basically, I'm just looking at Foo's Eve Musings. It says 1 empty packet costs 999 Aurum. 1 Plex equals 3.5 empty packets. 5 empty packets, 4,499 Aurum. 1 Plex, 3.85 empty packets. 10 empty packets, 7,999 Aurum. 1 Plex equals 4.38 skill packets. 30 days game time, 1 Plex, 1 Plex multi-character training, 3,500 Aurum. A skill packet will hold up to 500,000 skill points consumed. Looking at the best case, I calculate 2,700 skill points per hour, with a Plex being worth at most 1.94 million skill points. This is slowly over the month, not the upfront like the Injector. This could fill a pilot 3.89 packets per month. They're working out the money, and he goes through it and this and that, the other. In summary, skill packets will cost at least the equivalent of subscription cost plus the seller's fee to offset the skill point loss. Many, but not all, of these will be better solved with multi-pilot training certificates. For pilots requiring large amounts of training, the existing character bazaar is likely a cheaper option. I agree.
So all I heard was words. Math is hard.
Pretty much.
Because honestly, this is freaking confusing. You would want something. Eve is already a difficult enough game. Now I have to have a higher degree in college trigonometry to figure out how to figure out. But no, it's too hard. Yeah. It's complexity for complexity's sake is stupid, and I just don't get it. It's just too difficult to figure it out.
A friend of the show and friend of everyone, Noisy Gamer in the chat in Twitch says 1 plex equals 3,500 Aurum. Since you have to let people buy stuff with ISK, then you get stuff like this. And I agree, this is what happens. Because remember, you don't have to actually buy the extractor with real life money. You can spend money in game and get enough for a plex, and then convert that plex into Aurum and buy this thing. Somebody's had to buy it. Somebody has actually had to physically, whap out the credit card or the PayPal and purchase the things. So CCP have the money for it.
It's like who's the brain surgeon in the marketing department who came up with that decision? That's all I have to say. It's just like it's nonsensical. It's difficult to understand. And because of it, I'm like me as a customer, I'm least not likely to use it just because I can't figure it out. And if I'm not going to spend money on something that I can't figure out, it's buy a thing, get a thing, use a thing, not trying to figure out the hyperspatial mathematics to try to figure out on buying a freaking injector. And it's like now I have in my mind because ever saw the movie Starship Troopers, Big Giant Brain Bug? It's like here, just suck it out of my head because it's like that's easy to figure that out because I don't get this thing anymore.
Exactly as Adriani says in Twitch chat, or you can buy it for ISK off the market. Yes, you can if you want to buy it, but then you're paying the premium that somebody has actually extracted that. You're paying for their extractor plus the premium they're putting on it, which knowing Eve players, that's going to be anywhere between 20 to 30%, isn't it? Maybe more.
Yeah, pretty much. So I can't see the cost benefit of using it. I just don't.
No. Still, I mean, if you want to, you will be able to go and do this on Tuesday. I know there are some people out there that will want to take out some skills. They're like, oh, well, this character's my PvP toon and he's got mining. I don't ever want to use mining. I'll take it out. And I kind of get the what's the word? I kind of get the hate, if you want, from some veteran players out there, and some veteran broadcasters are going, well, this screws over veteran players. Nothing to get on it. I've got 80 million plus skill points. I'm only going to get 150k. Well, this was never ever initially aimed, I believe, at existing players.
It was meant for newer players to kind of speed them up. But the thing is that again, you go back to the complexity thing. If you're a brand new player, you're still trying to figure out the game and then figure out this particular additional scheme, it's dead in the water, unfortunately, because it's just too damn hard.
But, well.
Oh, well. Marketing. GG.
Well, again, it's microtransactions, but at the end of the day, that's how gaming is going. You look at games like World of Warcraft, where they've just introduced in the last sort of 6 months the gold token, which you can then sell, or the game tone token, and you can sell that for gold in game, but it's a set limit and they control it. It's not an open market. Other games like World of Tanks, where it's all free to play, but you can buy premium and that sort of stuff. Warframe, completely free to play. You can buy platinum to upgrade stuff. Again, subscription-based MMOs are dying. They're a rare breed now.
Yeah, the market is changing. The market has been changing for like the past 10 years, let's face it. So it's just trying to figure out, microtransactions. Yeah, there was a study that was done recently that find out that games that engage in microtransactions actually make more money and generate more revenue. Case in point, like Hearthstone has been such a fantastic hit for Blizzard Entertainment because $3 here, $5 there, $2 there, and the thing is that there is so insidious because it's only $1. It's only $2. It's only $5. next thing you know, you're like my friend down the hall who spent like $300 like making sure he gets all the packets.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap, but I need to get more. So the best kind of microtransactions are those like nickel and dime kind of thing, not this like convoluted kind of like Xbox Live point system, which gets really, really complicated really, really quickly.
Exactly.
And leaves people with a really bad taste in their mouth when they realize I've got, this game costs 400 and I've got 375 points, and it's like I just need to buy 24 points, and oh no, we only sell them in packs of 100.
Yeah.
So.
And then it's like, well, what am I going to spend the rest of that on? Oh, well, you can spend it on a skin or a hat or something like this or something like that, and
yeah. So GG. Hopefully you rethink it and kind of like figure out an easier scheme. CCP, because really, I mean, it's a great idea. It's a great bit of transhumanism. I'd love to see the brain bug come in and suck the skill points off an unused alt and stick it into my head because I need to learn fucking large lasers 1, but large lasers 5. But it's like, I guess I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way just because it's just too complicated.
Exactly. Obviously, speaking of that, there are a couple of other changes this week. Coming on Tuesday. Very, very minor ones for injecting skills and stuff like that. You will now be able to inject any skill regardless of if you have the prereq or not. So if you have the money and you want to go and buy Caldari Titan and you want to inject it, feel free. You can do that. But you might not be able to train it. And you can also place skills in the queue. As long as you're training the prereq before it, you can put the next skill in the queue and it will automatically go in because you couldn't do that before. That was a problem.
So I have a question. So if, say for instance, you've got like Caldari Titan 5, you want to get that. Does it make you go, does it add that additional training time that would have been through Titan 1, 2, 3, 4 into that? Or is it just straight to 5?
You still, it's the way you need to do it now. So if you need 5, you need to drag 1 in and then drag it in again for 2, drag it in again for 3. You can do that currently now. You can drag it in. So you can drag 1, then 2, then 3. But what it is now, if you want to train, say you wanted to train command ships, and you had everything except for the Caldari Battlecruiser 5, or whatever it was, or Leadership 5. You can have Leadership 5 training, and you can drag command ships into the queue, and it will automatically start. Right now, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Coming Tuesday, you will be able to do that.
Gotcha.
Also, there was something about you can now train any skill that's got skill points in it, even if you don't meet the prereqs for it. This is, again, for the Battlecruiser prereqs and stuff like that. So, just before now, if any of you have got, say, for example, you've got, Battlecruiser 4 and you want just train 1 point into it so then you can start training that one after. And it's weird because some people got command ships they got all the battle cruisers and had command ships, and then when they split out, they didn't have the leaderships in, so they couldn't train it properly. Train 1 point in it, so you can at least train it up. So that's coming as well. But let's get to the big news of the week, and it's not directly related to EVE Online as much as it's related to EVE Online because we're in the same universe. But CCP announced this week. And if I had the Last Stand post news, I would play it. But Dust 514 is officially shutting down on May the 30th this year. Is that trombone.com? When this was announced, I saw it, and then 25-30 minutes later, it started appearing on all the news sites. I saw it on a forum post, and I was out working. I went and chatted to a few friends of mine straight away, and I went, right, this is it. PlayStation 3 end of life this year at some point. This is what this is.
Pretty much, as the PlayStation 3 has had some extended life after its end of life, just because of the sheer fact that there's just so many of them and cheap. But it's just the punctuation on what has been kind of a questionable, if not like lackluster development of a game that should have never been on PlayStation 3. Because it came in so late into it. It should have been like a PlayStation 4 release and PC. I don't know exactly what the details were in regards to the exclusivity for PS3, but it's like, sorry, Dusties, it was sort of okay while it lasted, but we kind of called this a long time ago. So hopefully Legion isn't that long from now, and hopefully it's a better, more thought out product if you even decide to come back, seeing that how Dust 514 kind of ended up working out.
Exactly. In-game Mighty Link says, I saw that coming since it was announced as a non-PC game. Well, originally it was going to be PC and Xbox. And then the whole Microsoft charging $30,000 per update was an issue. And Sony... and also saying, oh, by the way, your servers have to be hosted on a Microsoft server. And then CCP are like, well, no, it goes into a Tranquility server cluster in London. Oh, no, it can't do that. It's got to go in a Microsoft Live server. Well, we can't have that. Sony are like, yeah, sure, whatever. Do it. Okay. I honestly think it is the death rattle of it. Yes, Legion or whatever will be called. It isn't going to be called Legion. It's going to be a project based on Legion. There's going to be some announcements at FanFest this year about that. The Legion-based project will starting. It's going to be used the Unreal 4 engine and is a PC-based product. They've already said that on the forum post. I just think it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting thing to see what comes out of it.
I mean, the big question is, will it still be able to be compatible, still be in the same universe? Will you still be able to interact the way you do with Dust, which of course Dust is going to go away. There's lots of speculation. There's people who talked about maybe you'll be able to attack stations. That'd be cool, but I don't know how feasible that is. I'm not CCP or a dev. It's just like, well, the thing is that has basically this left a bad taste in Dust players' mouth, and will they willing to come back after into a whole new different game, where they might have spent money because of microtransactions? Will they go ahead and embrace it? Because let's face it, for as much shit we gave Dust 514, it did have a dedicated following.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is that if there's one thing that I know is that gamers have a long memory.
Oh, exactly.
Long memory.
Exactly. Just to respond to Mighty Link again, he says still should have been on PC over PlayStation 3. Well, Microsoft. CCP said that initially they didn't. What I think the quote was initially, they didn't want to bastardize their player base because they wanted to try and branch out onto something. And yes, they've realised that multiplayer competitive shooters are better on a PC than a console because you have better control inputs. Even though you can put a keyboard and mouse and that into a PlayStation or an Xbox or something like that, I still think that they did it as an experiment, and it's 3 years. It's worked very well. It's earned them some money. Okay, it must have cost them money, but it's earned them a following. They got a very good working relationship with Sony out of this. And because of that, we are now going to see Valkyrie when it comes out on the PC for the Oculus Rift. It will also be on the PlayStation 4 with what was Project Morpheus, now PlayStation VR. So they've gained a very good working relationship with Sony for that. That is a good point.
I will give it that. It has opened up the avenues for them to go ahead and expand their IPs, which is only, in the long run, only good for CCP, because then they're not reliant on that one particular IP, where if it ever does decide to finally lose players and such, then CCP finds itself in up shit's creek because they're tied to this one vehicle. Better to have multiple vehicles and doing different things, making revenue, so you're not so dependent upon it. And I know people will say, no, well, you should only spend money in EVE development. Yeah, but you go back to the old discussion of remember turn of last century and the buggy whip makers, and it's they all got wiped out because of the development of the car. Yep. And this one sole buggy whip company decided to say, let's stop making buggy whips and let's make hoses. And they've cornered the market. They've been around forever, and they've had another 100 years of business, and they're still around. It's you can't tie yourself to only one product. Doing so, well, you're not giving yourself any longevity. So, that's all I have to say on that one.
Exactly. But then they tried. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
CCP tried with it, and they got a good product out of it. I personally never played Dust because I have never owned a PlayStation 3. I've never really had access to play one, and it's just one of those things. But
see, I was interested. I would like to have played it if it were on PC, because something that I've learned from playing other games like Halo or other or Destiny, first-person shooters where you play with a controller. I suck with a controller.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I am too left-handed. Kind of what the hell? I can't. I am a keyboard mouse guy,
Well, I bought Elite Dangerous. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, HOTAS. That's all I'm going to say. It's going back down there.
I bought Elite Dangerous on Xbox because I have an Xbox One.
Yeah.
And all I have to say is, what the fuck? How do you even fly this thing with this rinky Xbox One controller? I was just like, I was raging and throwing this thing across the room.
I was doing it with an Xbox 360 controller before I got my HOTAS. You can do it. You have to configure it around a bit. And I had on my Nexus 7, I had a second screen control system on it, so I had like other controls mapped to it. So I had like gear up and hyperdrive and stuff like that all on the thing, so I could do it and then just hit the button. But trust me, when you use with the HOTAS, literally you have to use the keyboard to type some stuff in. So there's that. But yeah, also I also play the vaporware game that is Star Citizen with it, and a little bit of that. And again, by the end of the day, I backed Star Citizen. I'm 100% think that's going to be an amazing game when it comes out. Maybe too late.
Enjoy your vaporware software. So there was some news that there's like a one-player game out that they're offering for without multiplayer. I'm like, why don't we look at actually getting the multiplayer game out?
Mm-hmm. Also, the other one I have started playing recently, Descent Underground, because I backed that on Kickstarter. I mean, I've got access to it. Man, that's good with a controller. Man, that is good with a HOTAS. I mean, if you remember Descent from like the 90s and you play it, it's literally with that. You're going around. It's gonna be epic. It's on Steam Early Access.
Yeah, so all I have to say is like I've started up my little war chest to buy the Oculus Rift because right now the end all be all right now is gonna be Valkyrie because I want that game. I want that game so bad. I sit there, I pine for it, I taste it.
That's the problem is I get for me virtual reality and stuff like that kind of hard. I get a weird type of motion sickness.
Supposedly the latest iteration of the Oculus takes care of that because it has to do some. Oh, even with the higher frame rate.
No. My motion sickness is weird. If I have something enclosed over my face fully, I get motion sick. I can be sitting still, I get it. That's why Google Cardboard is fine with me because I have a little bit of light coming in.
So you have that little reference point in it and such. So yeah. See, with me, I can strap it to my face and I can play all day and not feel any ill effects. And amazingly enough, the only game that gives me any kind of like motion sickness queasiness is like the Battlefield 4 games. Go figure. I can play any first-person shooter, any kind of like fast, janky like movement, but I play that game and it's like I'm gonna go vomit. And I'll be right back, and I don't understand why. I never could understand it. It might be
a frame rate of that. I used to have that with Half-Life 2. If I start playing Half-Life 2 and forget to change, if it's a fresh install, I forget to change the field of view from the default up a little bit, I get sick after about half an hour. It's weird, but
I know, but I'm looking forward to it and strapping my face and being jacked into the net. So
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick little breather here for a second. As I said, like you're joining us from CapStable, also from CSM Watch, and you guys have been doing stellar work with what you've been doing with all of the work with the interviews and the analysis shows. Just let the listeners know, obviously if they don't know, if they do know, great. If they don't know, let them know what you do, how you do it, and a little bit of background on it.
So I'll start with a little background. So about 3 years ago, when we were still a fledgling little podcast, actually 4 years ago now. Oh my God, 4 years. Xander from Crossing Zebras did these interviews of the up and coming CSM 8 candidates, and it was great. And he did it by himself, and he almost killed himself doing it. And I'm like, wow, that's dedication. That's pretty cool. And the next year, Xander decided to run. So of course he couldn't run the interviews because it'd be kind of a weird conflict of interest thing. So he thought, we didn't know any better. Hey, why don't we not try to do this thing? There's like 4 of us. We can totally do this. After almost killing ourselves doing that, man, hats to you, Xander. You were only 1. We were like 4, and it was hard. And we got some pretty good reviews from that. It's people ask why you guys did it. Well, it needed to be done. It was a great service to the community, and trying to promote what CSM is and what it's supposed to do. CSM, of course, is the fake space congress that us players get involved in electing representatives to hopefully represent our playstyles and our interests to CCP to good or ill effect, depends on what the individual's CSMs that's voted in every year. So fast forward next year, and we did say that we did it last year. We got some better tools. Let's do it again. And yes, almost killed ourselves, because that's when it went from just like maybe 30, 40 candidates to like 70 plus candidates. So that nearly killed us. We like to tell the story of like poor old Bach, who had to, at one point, to hide and to deflect the spouse aggro, had to actually sit there and record an interview in a closet with like his cell phone lighting up his questions. Because it's like, if she doesn't see me interview, then she won't get pissed off at the fact that I'm doing yet another interview.
Is that kind of like standing, from the schoolyard bully, in there going, "You can't see me, you can't see me,
Can't see me. I'm invisible. I'm invisible. I'm invisible. If you can't see me, I can't get beat in the face." Just so you know, Bach survived, but it did cost him a new bathroom.
No, well,
just saying.
That's a bonus.
So win-win, but still, it was all the emotional damage. And yeah, we were pretty toasty at that point, because we think grand total we had with interviews, and last year we also introduced the concept of analysis shows, which we'll sit there and we'll kind of talk about. And it has been controversial in some areas, and I can understand why. The sheer number of candidates, a lot of our listeners were saying, I just can't listen to 40 plus interviews. It's like, can't you just give me like TLDR? So we thought, we'll do this analysis show, and we'll talk about their performance on other days, and some of the topics that they brought up, and that backed up with a lot of the information they posted either on the forums or on social media or Reddit or other avenues, and those were widely successful, and we actually got a lot of really good feedback, on the positive side, and basically ask us, can you do more of that, and can you expand it? So, issues with CSM 10, we've been covering it, and what we did is that because we were killing our regular CapStable feed with just covering CSM, we decided to spin it off into its own thing called CSM Watch. Ta-da! We rewarded Bach for his hard dedication and gave him like a French language version of CapStable, and they've been doing fantastic there. So our one little stupid little podcast is now 3, and we also thought, well, this is a benefit and a resource for the community. Why not get other people who are involved in the EVE space? Podcasters, bloggers, commentators, former and current like CSM members who to engage in and present to them and interview them. One, to help, because it would benefit by lightening our load. So far this year, the system has been fantastic. There's been very few hiccups. With that extra insight and kind of like special interest topics that, like, say for instance, like Lockfox bring in when it comes to the market, Nosy Gamer on his RMT and just general like EVE space and other game blogging, Mark Scaris, who's former editor of TMC and Crossing Zebras, touching on those like strengths that they bring in, see what they bring to the party. That has elevated the interviews, that's elevated the analysis shows as well, and provided a bit wider like net of interest and speciality, because we're a bunch of space nerds. We run a small little corporation, and we don't know it all, and we admit we don't know it all, because that'd be ridiculous to say I am a knower of all things EVE, because that's not going to happen. Yeah. I know that much about this much. That's what I cover. And Coots has his specialty, Bach has his specialty, Kuda, of course, his specialty. Stu has, is backing us up on the technical side. So why not? And get the entire community involved. And on top of that, it also helps insulate the whole concept of, you guys don't know what you're talking about because you only knew this. Well, we've got Nosy, we've got Lockfox, we've got Mark, we've got General Stargazer, we've got Protovarius, and an extra cast of other people there to kind of provide that additional insight and kind of make the product overall better for everyone. So here we are. We're at like, I think 66 plus candidates. We have currently about 26 interviews done, 3 going on 4 analysis show tonight. We have additional interviews that are in the can waiting to be launched. So right now we're around like 35 interviews that we'll be producing. Of course, we still have 2 more weeks for people to sign up for the CSM, and we'll see where that goes. So far, most the grand majority of commentary and just discussion has been very, very positive. We've had a couple of negatives, and I can see where it's coming from. We will always be happy to address those because we can. Because we try to be the very best, fake space journalists that we can, or space pundits, however you want to see it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the system is. We've developed an entire back end that no one sees, the sausage making, which is still messy, but at least when it comes to being a candidate, it's super easy. Mm-hmm. We send you a note. Here's a link. Schedule interview with the available times that are available for you. Here's our informational notes. This is the things that we're the recommendations we have when it comes to getting your audio set up.
Yeah.
And yes, show up. We're there, and we interview.
Exactly. Again, and you guys, as I said, you guys picked up. You said before, you guys have picked up from where Xander left off from the first year. Obviously, he ran, and after that, it was like it's going to be big, and it has been big. And I know it's been a lot of work for you guys, and that's the thing. And when you look at it, there's probably. Let's think about this out there. There's probably, let's say, 70% of the player base that don't even care about the CSM.
Well, it's not only that they don't care; they don't know.
Yes.
I was even in an interceptor room last night for our corp, and we got like half our, about a good maybe 10, 15 people from our alliance to join us, and the discussion was, what's the CSM? And of course someone goes, oh, here's Lank, here we go. And sure enough, I went into a very, very long, detailed diatribe of what the body is, what it's supposed to do, what's happened, what we've been doing. And it's like, and the guy just said, I think I just gave birth through my ear.
Like, oh.
Because it is very, very complicated. And it is meta space politics. Mm-hmm. And usually people will glaze over when you start talking about politics, even in real life. But it's a benefit you need to know. The thing is, rightfully or wrongfully, CSM isn't something that is spent an awful lot of time on in that new player experience. Mm-hmm. So a lot of new players don't even know or understand what it is, or even bother to get involved. However, us guys who are steeped in the meta,
well, exactly. I remember, what was it, 2 years ago? CSM 7 and CSM. Was it CSM 7? Was it 8 and 9? No, it's 7 and 8. We hosted the roundtables here on Eve Radio.
Yeah,
and who was drafted in to do them?
You.
So I was the host, and I wasn't really the moderator. I was like, right, okay. The first year was like we got all the CSM on. We got the CSM on TeamSpeak, it was TeamSpeak, and then the next year it was like, well, no, the first year was Skype. Then it was TeamSpeak. Then I said to them, okay, so do you have other people to come in? And we said, right, okay. So Eve Uni then offered their Mumble service. So we basically opened up. We had a public Mumble where people would ask their questions and they would, have the thing. And it was great. And it worked. It worked very, very well for what it was. But then and this is the thing. CCP reached out to us to ask to help about it, and it was like, okay, we'll do it. And then poof, nothing, because nobody wanted to do it again. I'm sitting happy, fine to do it.
Yeah, because it is a lot of hard work. There is a lot of research. A lot of listeners listen to the final product, and it sounds great. Excuse me. But the amount of research, the amount of following the meta, you have to kind of already have an understanding. This year we have a broader understanding of how the larger mechanisms and player requirements and kind of nullsec nullsec kind of machinations go into it. So now we're able to see with a bit more insights, so this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. And it does take time.
Of course it
does.
You
need to learn. You need to learn who the players are, who's involved. What are the benefits between how does it benefit nullsec players, lowsec players, highsec players, and those pesky wormholers, and their pesky dog too. But it's a very, very complicated topic on an already complicated game with an already complicated requires of skill sets and complicated controls. So it's no surprise to us that new players are like, what? I thought I was here to just blow up ships. So we're trying to package it in such a way, not dumb it down, but provide it in a format that is most understandable to people. What's the closest analog that we've got? Well, American politics and interviews and candidate forums. I mean, people know that. People know junkets. People know platforms. I mean, because the idea of a platform for CSM for candidates is actually pretty ridiculous. Because you can go in there, I'm going to do this and this and this, and everyone's going to get free Sundays, and we're going to go to the pool, and all the girls will be hot wearing. No, that doesn't really happen in real life, but it's what people understand and know. So we package it in that kind of format in hopes that they'll go ahead and they themselves will dig a little further and find out for themselves. One of the the complaints about the analysis show is that we're like quote unquote playing kingmakers when it comes to that, or that these interviewers belong to us. They don't belong to us. I mean, they can go to Eve Radio, they can go to any other outlet and talk about their particular skill set and platform. We just provide it in a way that people will recognize it. And we've been asked, can you do this for us? And we've done that to great so some good acclamation to that, or acclaims to that. So that's what we just try to do. It's a shame, unfortunately, that a lot of other news avenues, news sites don't allow themselves to be involved in it. And I can understand why, because there's a profit motive and such. And I think, and Nosy Gamer, I know he's in the chat and even attested that whenever he would run a CSM article on his blog, readership would drop noticeably. So if you're dependent on ad revenue, you're not likely to run a piece on CSM because, well, you got to pay the bills. You got to keep the lights on. You got to pay for the servers. So you're less apt to to put something on regards to the CSM because, well, even though it's a public service to the community, it costs you money. Yeah. That is not so much an issue with us because we're stupid. And have no concept of profit loss ratios or balance sheets.
I know that feeling. I'll interject here. I run two little websites. I run TWiNE.com. I also run the New Eden Update. I do daily news podcasts about EVE Online.
And why do you do it? Because you care.
Because I've been doing it for nearly 9 years. I've been an EVE Radio DJ for 9 years nearly. I've been doing this. I started the game in late 2006, got properly into it in early 2007, became a DJ summer of 2007, so nearly 9 years. And it's one of those things that, maybe the 300-400, maybe 500 people that will listen to this over the course of the next week, they keep me doing this.
Yep. So we're not doing it for any personal acclaim. We just like to do it because we like to do it because we can do it, and we can, at least right now, knock on wood, we can afford to do it.
Exactly, and it's one of those things that, again, recently, I launched the Patreon for myself. Again, I don't like talking about it on EVE Radio, but I'm going to kind of sort of show how the sausage is made here for a little bit. I launched it because it's a case of, well, if I can get the funding costs to cover the servers, for my own stuff, and maybe hardware and software and that, great. Any money extra I'll make, I'll put back into the show somehow. The shows, the site, the shows, whatever.
Yeah, that's like we ourselves started our own Patreon, and we make some money, which over the last year has actually been able to pay for our bandwidth and pay for our servers and pay for our hosting. Yeah. So we're at a net even. And of course the guys are like, oh yay, we're broken even. Oh guys, I have a background in accounting. No, we're nowhere near that. No. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then I tabulated like sweat equity and like hardware, software.
You added it. You name it. You basically added it all up, and they went, "Oh, okay."
It's when it's like if we were to pay ourselves a livable wage and do this and we are in the hole like 30 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they're like, what? Like, yeah, if we were to figure out how to pay wages and research time and reading and this, and Stu just got a new mixer and Hoot's got a new microphone. My entire setup I've set up, and it's really nice all through my fundage, of course. And it's like, yeah, we are 30,000+ in a hole.
Yeah,
this is probably the most expensive like hobby to a hobby. Our sub hobby is actually more expensive than our actual video game hobby. Yes. Go figure.
Exactly.
But it's like we've taken it upon ourselves to be magnanimous. if you want to say it. But yeah, we see that it's important for the community to know this information and at least have access to it and at least have knowledge of it. So if they do care to get involved and get educated, they can.
Speaking of community, should we talk about a site that... Well, no, we won't talk about a site that potentially thinks there's no community out there. There is. 2 articles came up this week on thematani.com, both posted by Lembra, and one of them, 176 billion is Fiend. The other one, 120.6 billion is Chromosa down. Oh, people are out there flying their blingy shit. So
you know what? As a pilot, an active combat pilot, you players who have been in the Alliance tournaments and are flying your blingy ships, good job. You're making sure that I have my kill boards are green till like 10 years from now. And in addition, I applaud you. Some people will call you dumb, stupid. Why would you, dude? What are starships meant to do? Explode.
Exactly.
Kudos on you of having the testicular fortitude to bling out that ship and actually seek active combat, man. 07 to you.
Well, the Chromosa was faction / a little bit Dead Space fit. You know, 120 billion. You know, 100. It dropped 132 mil out of that billion. You know, 120 billion. But the Fiend. Yeah, that's epic loot in the lows. That's officer loot in all the lows apart from this faction. The storyline damage control. Not even a storyline damage control. Is that? Oh, yeah, no. And then faction gun, faction points with Tech 2 guns with faction ammo. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Fiend is a Hick. You know, a heavy interdiction cruiser, so it can fit those faction points in the highs, and then officer and Dead Space mids with a few faction mids. Again, I know why people use them because they want to go out there and be good, and they will. You know, I reported on this week that Big Micah, who lost the Fiend, he goes out there and balls out there with it, and he gets a lot of kills.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And you know what? All I have to say is thank you for the redistribution of wealth to the cheaper, like poor masses. Because man, whoever scooped up that loot is now set. I mean, I wish I had 170 billion ISK. I really do, because I could play this game till like the servers get shut down 20 years from now.
Well, remember, most of the cost in it is the hull.
Of course.
Again, and then we are talking about Alliance tournament ships here. We're talking about the frigates. So the Chromosa, you're looking at 115, 110 billion on the probably 120 on the hull, and the fit. Yes, it's got Dead Space stuff on it, but the Fiend, yeah, you're looking at a destroyed 169 bill, total 176 bill. It dropped 6.6 billion ISK. Oh yeah, there was 25.8 billion fitted to that hull.
But man, all I have to say is those players involved in that kill mail have a story that'll last them the rest of their lives. Then that's what it's all about. It's like, oh shit, there I was stories. We call it the oh shit, there I was effect. And you know what? You know, I appreciate these people going ahead and flying these ships, because it'd be a damn shame to have them sit there in a hangar, never to be used. But yeah, you know what? I salute you and thank you very much for, increasing, content and gameplay for the rest of us.
It could be the "I was there" moment, and they sort of morph into a character.
I was there as he's talking to his mates out in the pub and going, "You're fucking crazy," talking about like space pixels and what besides the beer, what else have you been fucking smoking? But it's like, but hey, you know what? It's all about that.
Oh dear. As we touched on earlier on in the show, the February, whatever. EVE Online's second month release of 2016 is getting deployed on the 9th.
Yeah. That is February on the schedule of
February.
Uh,
Brand new features include skill point trading between players and additional control and power over their own fate. Furthermore, deliver improved camera controls, including a first-person view, which is already in the game. Enhanced graphics, basically physically based rendering for Caldari and Galente Tech 3 ships, combat music during engagements, and more. Several minor tweaks and bug fixes will be deployed. The February release will be deployed during regular downtime, starting at 1100 UTC. The Tranquility server cluster will be back online and accepting collections again at 1130 UTC.
So usually at this time, I would say make sure you put a long skill in the queue, but it doesn't really matter anymore because I have a 500-day-old skill queue currently baking. So I'm like, enjoy the downtown.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. I always still remember to tell people, make sure you put a long skill in because you never know. And they're like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I said, well, how long's your skill? Oh, I've got like 6 days in there at the moment because there's, I've got something going on. Oh, okay, fine. A week later, 1 week later, fuck, my skills run out.
Or at least my favorite is make sure that you've actually turned skill training on.
Yes.
Because I've had people like they pause it and then they forget to turn it on, and it's like 2 weeks later. I'm like, God damn it, no!
Yeah.
Pay attention. Details, people. Details.
Exactly. One of the other things that I did notice, balancing of ship hit point of wrecks. That's interesting. So uniformly, everything was 500 hit points, so you could one-shot a Titan wreck and get rid of it. Titans are now going to have, 30,000 hit points. Super carriers, 2,500. Sorry, 25,000. Other capitals, 15,000. Battleships, large NPC and officer NPCs, 3,500. Battle cruisers, 2,500. Cruisers, mining barges, medium NPCs and generic NPCs, 1,500. Destroyers, 1,000. And small ships, anything else other than that, 700 hit points. This makes sense. I do like this. I do like the fact that they're doing this because it means that you could be in that big engagement fight and you can't be that you then can't be that arsehole that blaps that Titan wreck. With a civilian Gatling gun.
Kabam! Yeah, and it makes sense. Totally makes sense. So I can understand why they make that change. So we'll see how it affects that. I know there's, at least like talking to Jane Fillon, there were some issues in about like, oh, this is a nerf to high sec, which I need to figure out what exactly they mean by that.
It's probably a nerf to high sec ganking or a nerf to high sec or ganking and stuff like that, because you can. In high sec, you can bring stuff around and you can shoot it. Like, for example, shoot the smaller ships, they'll be gone easier. But the larger ships, they take longer to destroy because people might use them as perches and go, right, bookmark that wreck. Okay, you can perch to it. And before you think it's, how it is. But
yeah, you're just allowing them the opportunity to actually because even if they blow up the wreck, if you're able to bookmark that spot, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So it's just giving people enough time to bookmark that wreck. So henceforth, I can come back and re-engage if necessary.
Exactly. What else? First FanFest speaker's been announced.
Yay!
Andrew Gorin, the guy who is making or writing the history of EVE Online Great... Well, it goes, it's the author of EVE, Empires of EVE, a great history of the Great Wars of EVE Online. The Kickstarter book that actually got funded.
Too soon?
No, because because I backed the TMC Kickstarter and I wanted it to happen.
Too soon?
No, not too soon.
No. And all kidding aside, I'm actually going to pre-order this book as well. So yeah, that'd be great to hear, because there's, for us, like, meta nerds, and we like to call ourselves meta nerds, finding out the rise and fall of these different empires and getting the context is pretty cool, and actually having it in a glossy book would be great. So, and I'm very, very happy to hear that. I've been actually trying to get get Andrew on the show, talk about it. So maybe, we'll see. But yeah, so that's actually fantastic to hear. I would love to speak at FanFest, but that's FanFest, and that's Iceland, and it's like $3,000 to fly from LA.
Well, from London it isn't that bad, but the problem is I currently don't have a passport. I'm going to get one soon because I'm going on holiday this year to Bulgaria twice. But even then, it's the money. It's like, all right, from London, how much is it? Oh, it's like £50, £60. What? To Iceland? Yeah, one way, straight away ticket. But then it's like, oh, when you get there, you've got to have accommodation and all this, and all that.
Hotel, food, transportation.
Exactly.
there's an old traveler saying that for every dollar you spend on just getting there, you spend 3 to 4 on living there.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow.
Noisy Gamer has just said it's $99 from LA. Isn't that the cheap one? That cheap airline that's doing it on special certain days or something?
Really $100 from LA. They were doing that one Icelandic Air thing out of San Francisco. I just checked recently, and like the lowest I got quoted was like $900. So Nosy, link please, because
or don't drop a link in the Twitch channel because it'll automatically be muted because that's the way we have that channel muted. But drop us it on Twitter or whatever.
Twitter. Twitter would be great because then I can figure out if that's the case. And maybe my little dreams of going to Iceland might come true because it's the land of fart water and fermented shark.
Oh dear. Couple more things on the slate before we get out of here because we're coming up to the top of the hour where I normally sort of end this show and then we go into the music bit because basically we do what we kind of try and do with this is do an hour of sort of talk hour, and if the conversation is flowing then we push it onto an hour and a half, stuff like that, maybe how it goes. Eve News 24 had an article this week by a repost of a Kira Kadachi blog post, I believe it was, Refittedness, and he goes into the Capital Dev blog from October about the controversial aspects of it, the combat refitting that's going away. Now, I'm okay with it going away.
I am too, and I do have to premise this with that I am not a capital pilot. I am solely a subcap pilot. So, being a subcap pilot and wanting to kill caps, I can totally appreciate that ability to kind of change fits on the fly because it just makes you more killable. Because that's like one of the biggest issues I think with like the slow cats and such is the ability to refit, and it makes you nigh invulnerable. So as a guy who actually, the pugilist who likes to get rid of you guys, yay. All you like cat pilots are like, yes, bro, you suck, suck, and I'm like, makes you killable, yay for me.
This is what it is. At the end of the day, it really kind of sucks going out there and having a ship that can go from shield to armor to hull, and back survive. To shield,
back to armor. It's like, oh, really? It's I mean, what CCP wants to do is make sure these really big ass ships die, because it's really difficult to kill them. The only way to, at this point, at least the meta is, the only way you can kill a capital really is with another capital.
Yeah.
Now it's the possibility of subcaps being able to, if they can trap you and they can pin you down, kill you. And I am all for the angry rabid squirrels taking down the evil killer bison.
Definitely. It means that people will be out there actually playing the game and not AFKing the game as they do sometimes, and actually having to think about, oh, well, you know what, with these new command destroyers that have been implemented, we can't just sort of anchor up an F1 because, oh, we'll get blapped away or we get jumped away, and stuff like that.
It's like, excuse me, as I go refill my coffee, as I'm in shields, I come back. Oh, look, I'm in armor. Oh, okay, refit. Okay, excuse me, I'm gonna go wash my car back. Come back. It's like, oh, dude, it's dinner time. Oh, let me go ahead and get. It's like, yeah, that's.
I'm in structure. Okay, put all the bulkheads on. Right, what I'm gonna do now? I'm and literally, you're outside, you're grilling, you're on the grill, you've got the iPad, you're direct controlling. All right, hold on. Yep. Done. Right. Okay, carry on. Yeah, and your phone rings. Oh, by the way, guys, we're just in there. You pick it up. Yeah, okay, yeah, all right, no problem. Let me sec. Change. Done. Okay, right, yeah, all right. We're getting that node. Good, yeah, done. Bye. Yeah, that's it.
Because, gasp, heaven forbid we actually have to play the game.
Yeah, this is the problem I've seen with a lot. And again, I said it, I think a couple of weeks ago. I said it on the solo show that I did, where I didn't have a guest here a few weeks ago. I get a bit annoyed at people like the Matani and Scion going out there and saying, oh, well, we need to do this and we need to and make sure. No, well, okay, I can understand like-minded people doing things, but doing it just because it's like, oh, I need to do this to make sure I'm good and no. Let people play the game they want to play.
Yeah, and it's like, every game play style brings a different thing. I've been accused of being a dirty blabber, which it's true. A dirty blobber, which is true. Ganker, which is true. I've engaged in all those kind of activities because I want to kill you. I like to consider myself in game as the bringer of chaos and destruction, and creative destruction is my thing, which is one of the reasons I do CSM, by the way. Because I look at, like, for instance, in the Eve space and the discussion. I have never in my history seen so much discussion about this particular area of meta gameplay since I can remember. So anywhere where it promotes engagement and discussion and conflict and just bitter rivalries, I'm all for.
Yeah.
Plus, exploding ships are always good.
This leads in probably to the last docket, the last thing on the docket for today. Naiden from Crossing Zebras wrote a piece called "The Whore of Babylon." This was interesting to say the least. What he wrote this week. Pretty much, it goes, at this point, I'm certainly running my risk of my article falling into the grr category. This is not my intent. However, I can't very well write about Lowsec and not discuss one of the most important events in the past few months, the Imperium invasion. I should point out that within EVE, I am one of the opposing side, there really is one, that have engaged the Imperium forces since their entry into Lowsec in November, a number of times. TLDR of this article. One of the big bits, he goes, event in the Harlot. He goes, as most you know, the head of the Imperium, the Mittani, has held a State of the Union in November, prior to the Imperium invasion of Cloudring and Lowsec. In it, he spoke at length of, quote, his people, and stuff like that.
I'm going to be honest, I love that shit. I really do. Because you know why? And I've tried to explain this to other players. EVE Online is the closest thing you're ever going to be to a Brian Herbert novel. It's the closest Dunesian thing available. And the fact that we have the Harkonnens and the Atreides and, the Fremen, this is why I play this game. This is the main reason, the fact that you actually do have factions and, like, groupthink and, like, the downtrodden, like, Fremen and this and that. This is what I love. The fact that he refers to as his people is like, yes, that's why I love this game. Now, I understand that people get a little bit, like, upset with the jingoistic nerd tribalism, but I find it entertaining and actually enthralling, just because what other game out there has this kind of thing where you actually have despots and warlords?
Yep.
Not that many.
Exactly. But again, I read it, I reported about it this week, and I think it's good. I for the game, yes, I love it. I love the fact that it's out there. The bit that gets me and grates me about it is when it comes into, what's the word? When it comes down to things like when Scion now can't run for the CSM, or potentially can't run because of X, Y, Z, and all that. And then they go, oh, well, this is bad. You're a player base. Well, sorry, but rules are rules.
Rules are rules, and, rightfully or wrongfully, there's a rule that might have been exploited or moved around and such. It's the way of life. Learning how to. That's what the meta is. It's like learning all the unwritten rules and trying to violate them and work around them until they think of new rules. I mean, let's be real. There's a reason why there's a law on the California state books that bans you shooting whales from your car. There is, people. In California, it's illegal to shoot a whale from your car. I don't understand what was behind it, what was the recent rationale, but evidently somewhere, somehow, some guy got in the car, put it on a boat, and shot at a whale. With that said, live by the sword, die by the sword. If you're going to play around in the murky land of meta world, and you end up finding it running into, like, dual relationships and issues of, like, no, I'm not going to say collusion, but it's just like you bring in the issue of ethics and dual relationships and, possibility of, access to proprietary IP information that could be used for your economic gain. I can see why CCP did it. How they did it is questionable, because fuck that they fucked that one up. If you would have been, it could have been handled a lot better and presented a lot better, and in a way that doesn't lead into or is allowed to be exploitable and turn into yet another weapon in the meta fight. So that's the only real kind of like, CCP could have handled it a lot better. It's not that it was the implementation, not the notion, that really I have an issue with.
You want to know about stupid laws? It is still and this is still thing. It is still an offence to beat or shake any carpet, rug, or mat in any street in the Metropolitan Police District. Although you are allowed to shake a doormat before 8 a.m. in London.
Oh, gee.
It is illegal to sing any profane or obscene song or ballad in any street.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? There's entire websites you can go ahead and find out. Like, it's like just Googling dumb California laws. So, great. California prison workers will no longer be allowed to have sex with inmates. It's like... So, or better yet, it's unlawful to let a dog pursue a bear or bobcat at any time. It's like, these laws are there for a reason. It's just, oh well. But when it comes to the avenue of the Eve meta, gamers love to bitch and complain. How dare you re-nerf this or change this gameplay? I'm unsub. Well, that mentality also extends over into the meta. How dare you take away this ability to do this? We're gamers. We exploit the shit out of everything, and it's just gamers exploiting the shit out of this particular situation. GG.
One last one. It's illegal in London for a person knowingly with the plague to flag down a taxi or ride on a bus.
Oh god. Okay, now if you're gonna look into the stupid yet entitled one, here's the last one. California state law: sunshine is guaranteed to the masses.
Oh,
so go figure.
That's brought a spark of joy and fun and sunshine to the end of this show. I want to thank everyone for listening live, if they are listening live on Sunday, or if they're listening in post, whether it be podcast or video on demand. I hope the video on demand worked. If it didn't, I'm going to smash Twitch in the face. I'd like to thank you, Lank, for actually getting up early and spending your Sunday morning with me. This is the point where you can let people know about how they can contact you, any projects you've got out there. Let the masses know. So you can, of course, always reach me on Twitter at Lanctharus, Lanctharus, because I'm a horrible speller. You, of course, can always reach me at CapStable at CapStable.net, CSM Watch at CSMWatch.com. Don't ask, it's a long story having to do with website, poachers / squatters because they suck. Fuck you, GoDaddy, because you're an asshole. You can, of course, also reach me at podcast at capstable.net. Send all your evil hate mail to @hoots. So that's about it. No, great. Thanks for getting up early and spending your Sunday morning with me. Or my Sunday afternoon, your Sunday morning. Coming up next on Eve Radio is music. So we're going to hear music in a minute. But as for the podcast version, as for the video version, thank you. That's pretty much it. Until next week, take care, fly safe, and if you do get podded, go onto the forums, whine and complain. It gives the ISD something to do. Because they love salt.